Toney, welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is the latest Manchester United news as Manchester United puts an official bid in for Jarrad Branthwaite. Is that deal close? Well, we've gone from personal terms to an official bid going in the space of 24 hours. So whatever is happening here, Man United are moving quickly post Erik ten Hag being confirmed as the manager that Ineos want to work with. We've also got a big update on Ivan Toney, a striker that Erik ten Hag likes, and Manchester United may be close to moving forward on that. And as we were talking about this afternoon and last night, it's very, very clear that Manchester United have adopted a multi-pronged attack and are working and talking to multiple targets as we speak, which is interesting because something else that's close is the Euros. The Euros are about to start. We'll be live tonight on That's Football straight after this show. Normally, an international tournament can lead to a bit of a downtime when it comes to transfer windows, but Man United can't afford that downtime. They've got to move quickly, and that's certainly what they have been doing. So let's get up to speed on what's been happening in the last few hours, and David Ornstein has confirmed that Manchester United's opening bid for Jarrad Branthwaite is £35 million. Now, there was a story about an hour before that coming out from the Mail to say that Man United's first bid was around £45 million. The Times have said that it was £35 million plus 8 in add-ons. So realistically, to be fair, there could be an element of truth in all three stories. David Ornstein, 35 million, the Mail, 45 million, and the Times saying 35 plus 8 in add-ons, which I actually would agree that 35 million must have some element of add-ons to it because it's more than half what Everton are looking for. But look, I think this is really, really, really intriguing. We've got to be a little bit careful here. I'd be interested to see what your thoughts are. We've got to be a little bit careful here because we don't want to be Billy Big Bollocks in the sense that we don't want to flex in our muscles too much. I think the pace is good. The opening bid is good and the player is good. But Everton aren't powerless. Respect and, the ability to work together is actually what makes transfers work. It's very rare that a club can just bully everybody. Not even Real Madrid does that. So you've got to be able to work with these clubs in an amicable way. So we don't want to be, disrespecting Everton saying, have that or nothing. I think our bid's realistic and I think Everton's expectations are unrealistic and we must meet in the middle. I think there's multiple ways that we can do this, by the way. I mean, I personally think that Aaron Wan-Bissaka would be a good signing for Everton with Seamus Coleman, virtually on retired. I've also heard rumours of Ahmad going to Everton as well. So I think there's things that we can work on there. What we mustn't do is, and I think the most important thing here is, and I'd be very interested to see what your thoughts are, if Everton say it's 70 million, it's 70 million, it's 70 million, you walk away. And the great thing is that I think 3-6 years ago, Pogba, if United walk away, massive disappointment. Bruno Fernandes, if Man United walk away, massive disappointment. Jadon Sancho, if Man United walk away, massive disappointment. And I think as a fan base, we are far better than we've probably ever been because of the mistakes we've made around big wages and big transfer fees. And I say that because if Everton say 70 million, 70 million, 70 million, I don't think there's any of you, and certainly not me, that goes, get him at any price. Whereas I think in the past we probably did. We would be like, with Sancho, I was like, just get the deal done. I don't care, just get the deal done. Whereas now, if Everton get unrealistic, I'd actually applaud Ineos for walking away and say, well done. There are other options out there. We can't be held to ransom anymore. Those days are gone. We've got to draw in the line in the sand. And if we miss out on a good player because of it, we miss out on a good player because of it. And I think that's the strength that Ineos have here is that we can walk away. We don't have to stay in this race. We can walk away. The player wants to come to Man United. Personal terms are done. If Everton want to ask for silly money for a player that has publicly said basically he wants to come to Man United because personal terms are agreed, well, crack on. Because ultimately There might be Everton fans out there that say, oh, well done, Everton, well done. But next season, when he's wearing an Everton shirt, you know he wanted to come to Man United, and you know you could have got decent money for him, but you got stupid about it. So, and look, if you don't get Branthwaite, we can all name 6 or 7 other centre-backs we can go for. I want to get Branthwaite. I think we will get Branthwaite, but I think Everton have got to come to the table and not think like we can do what Leicester did. We can do what Dortmund did. We can do what Ajax did to Manchester United. Because if they come in with that attitude, then we walk. We walk. You know, it's a bit like that film Heat. You know, you just walk. You drop everything and you walk away. And I think this is what encourages me a lot, because I pretty much guarantee that most of our fan base would agree on that. So really, really confident that we can, you know, negotiate a good deal here. But Everton have got to be willing to do that. And if Everton want to be silly, and Everton want to say it's 70 million or nothing, we walk, because we can't pay that money. We shouldn't pay that money. Many years ago, we walked away from Perisic for 5 million. Like, we offered 40 for Perisic to Inter. They wanted 45, and United walked away. That was probably stupid. But we did walk, and we should walk away from this. Neil Fish says, I'm struggling to see... Oh, I'm going to give some memberships away tonight, by the way, so don't forget to remind me about that. And we've got this story about Ivan Toney as well, and obviously everything you want to talk about. Johnny Z says, please walk, he's overrated. Neil Fish says, I'm struggling to see the hype around this kid. Kunnell says, we go as high as 40 million. Daz the Lad says, big test for the new setup. Got to show strength. I think we're in a strong position. I think we're in a strong position. I like the first bid. It's very low. It's ridiculously low. But Everton's price is ridiculously high. I like this sort of negotiating. Everton, last night, we heard about 70, 80 million. Stupid money. So put a stupid low offer in. You know, if they want to take the piss, we take the piss. We all know the right price is about 50. And I agree with Amy. 50 is the right price. So if they want to play 70, 80, we'll go 35. And look, I think the deal will get done. Percentage-wise, probably 75% at the moment, because he's agreed personal terms. That's problematic for Everton, that he's agreed personal terms, because it's not like when Harry Maguire was negotiating with Man United, it never came out publicly that he wanted to come to Man United. It was just nothing from Maguire. Nothing ever came out. Right at the start, Branthwaite wants to come to Manchester United. It's a different type of deal. I don't understand why personal terms came out so publicly. That doesn't help Everton. It doesn't help Everton fans. Gear says Everton hold all the cards. I actually don't think they do. But I don't care if they do, because if you want to buy a house and it's worth $1 million and the owners say we're only selling for 2, you don't buy the house, whether it's your dream house or not. But it's quite rare that personal terms comes out so conclusively public very, very early on. I think that strengthens our case, but I'm not looking for a bargain here. We can pay a fair price, and a fair price is 50 million quid. And if it doesn't happen, we walk away. But look, it's encouraging at the moment. And it's encouraging, as I said last night, about how many deals we are being linked to and working on. And this morning around João Neves and Xerxes and Kuna, and the talks that we're having with so many different targets is really encouraging, because I remember a time where we couldn't do more than one thing at once. It pretty much was the last decade. We couldn't work on multiple deals, and we should applaud that. Like, we literally couldn't do more than one thing at once. If we were buying Maguire, we weren't selling Rojo. Like, it was like we had to focus on everything. So I quite like that. This deal could run and run for a few weeks. It could be over in a few days. But I think that I think it's been an interesting start. And I think the big advantage that Ineos have this summer is that they have a fan base that if they decide not to do it because it's too expensive, they'll probably get applauded. I mean, if it comes out that Man United... Imagine if this deal falls through. And I know some of you don't want it to happen because you don't necessarily like the player. I do. But imagine if this deal falls through because Everton were asking for stupid money. Imagine if Everton say, we won't sell him for less than £65 million up front, and United just go, no, and they allow that to go out to the press, which they will, and we all find out that United walked away from a Branthwaite deal because Everton wouldn't go below 65 million. I think everybody would go, well, fair play to Man United. Could Todibo join United on loan? Obligation to buy next year, says Paul. I don't know, Paul. I don't know. I mean, I like Todibo. There are some people saying that we can't sign him because of some dual ownership, which I've never heard from anybody legitimate. In fact, Fabrizio Romano has consistently linked Todibo to Manchester United, and we've never heard anything from him about this. So, you know, I'm hopeful that we get 2 centre-backs. As I said to you this afternoon, Cambuala, Evans, Martinez are already here. Bring in Todibo and Branthwaite, and you've got 5. That's absolutely fine to me. I can work with that. I really, really can. But look, we'll have to wait and see. 45 million with 5 million add-ons tops. Walk away and move on. It'll send a message to all clubs that the days of holding us to ransom are over, says Mike. I also think there's a hidden meaning as well that the arse is falling out of the European transfer market. I mean, look at what's happened with Mason Greenwood. Really, really good player. Can't be sold to the Premier League for multiple reasons. Is therefore a good player available to the European market outside of the Premier League, and nobody can raise 40 million quid. The European transfer market outside of the Premier League is shit. Absolutely shit. So I think that this is going to start hitting home in the Premier League as well. I think silly price tags need to be brought down. You know, Man City are probably the only club that can afford to activate Jack Grealish's £100 million release clause, or, you know, Bruno Guimaraes. I don't think there's any other Premier League. I know Arsenal paid £100 million for Declan Rice, which was incredible, but I think those days are gone. And good. I think some of these prices are incredibly bad. Let's talk about Ivan Toney. The interesting story, this came in from Sam, who works on the United stands, and basically this is what he had to say about Ivan Toney, what he's been told. I just need to find the thing. I was reading it literally just before we went live, and here it is. Understand that Manchester United to continue to work on due diligence on Brentford striker Ivan Toney. Sources have indicated that Erik ten Hag is keen and likes the player. Arsenal did some checks on Toney and are understood to have some reservations on his character. Man United continue their work on checking Ivan Toney and his suitability. But as we said, Ten Hag is keen and likes the player. Well, this is going to make some of you very excited because obviously Beth is a very publicised backer of Ivan Toney being our striker solution. He is available. There's no doubt about that. He is going to be available. So what are your thoughts in relation to that? It's interesting because Man United do want to buy a striker. Of course they do. And there's no doubt that he is a Premier League proven striker. I think what I would say is, look, a lot of people look at Ivan Toney and that's not the first time I've heard that Arsenal have got concerns about him. Apparently his wage is very low. Somebody just said there he's only on 20k a week. Well, if his agent's got anything about him and he hears that Branthwaite's going to be on 150 grand a week, he's going to be on 180 grand a week, isn't he? I mean, why his wage would be so low, considering how many goals he's actually scored in the Premier League? It's incredible, isn't it? But I think with Toney, you've got to put him in the ring. Fabrizio's mentioned him before. Look, I don't really like talking about this because it feels like an area that people don't really want to delve into, but it is an area that we should discuss. Personality, consistency, mentality, very, very important. And Hermes says, what if he starts betting again? It feels so bad to say that, doesn't it? Because a gambling habit it's like being addicted to whatever. But if we're gonna look, there's no point beating about the bush. That there would have to be concerns around the character of Ivan Toney. Of course there would. We're lying if we don't think that. But it doesn't mean that he has got bad character traits. It doesn't mean that he can't play for Arsenal or Spurs or Manchester United and score 25 goals a season and win things. I think that, there's a lot of people out there that really like Ivan Toney, and there's a lot of people out there that think it's not worth doing. It's not the first time I've heard that Arsenal have concerns. I personally think he'll probably end up at Spurs, but why would he not end up at Man United? We are looking for a striker. What would it mean for Rasmus? I mean, I think Toney is the sort of player that probably wouldn't want to be on the bench. But to be honest with you, if you come into Man United, mate, you don't demand to start every game anyway. Like, you scored a lot of goals for Brentford, but when Dwight York came from Aston Villa, he wasn't like, I'm playing every week. So I'm not interested in that sort of personality, really. I'm not saying I don't want him. I'm just saying any striker that thinks they're coming to Man United to start every week, you've got the wrong attitude straight away. You've got to believe in yourself in that sense. But look, rotation is key at the end of the game. Haaland gets taken off for Pep, doesn't he, in recent months, and that's the way it should be. What I would say about Ivan Toney is that if Ten Hag rates him and he's available and Ineos think there's a deal to be done, then you try and do that deal, don't you? Look, Ten Hag has spoken glowingly about Mark Overmars, and that's a controversial thing to do. Ten Hag, although he's never said it publicly, was rumoured to want to bring Mason Greenwood back into the team last summer. You can't judge every decision on your own morals. You can have a decision on your own morals, but you can't judge others, basically, on the decision that they make. I think that with Ivan Toney, the most important thing is that the price, like Hermes says, is very, very expensive, and United Wings says 60 to 65 million. I'd have concerns about the price. And second to that, I'd also have concerns about the mentality. Yes, he's done very, very well at Brentford, but he's going to be 29 next season. During next season, he'll be 29 years of age. And it's going to be his first big club to play at. Now, look, Van Persie came to us at 29, but so did Alexis Sanchez. It's a big, big step for a player that's never done it before. And you've got to make sure that the mentality is correct. Now, one incarnation of Ivan Toney comes to Man United, absolutely consumes it, works hard, consistent, fan favourite, happy days. Another incarnation struggles with it and becomes problematic. So that is why every player we sign, whether it's Jarrad Branthwaite, Ivan Toney, Michael Elise, whoever it is we're looking at, we've got to do this. And it's not even sad to highlight it, really. It's just the modern game. Some people struggle with it because they're like, what's their private life got to do with it? Well, everything. If they're turning up late for training, if they're pissing about in their own time, if they're inconsistent, if they're not focused on their profession, then they shouldn't be bought, no matter what the talent is. Because you look at Man City, you look at Arsenal, and they're not struggling with these things because they've got the right profile of player. So I think due diligence is the right word. And it's funny how it mentioned that in the report today. I think due diligence is absolutely essential. And I would want to know why Arsenal were looking at him and aren't looking at him now. Maybe they are still looking at him. I would want to know all of this, because it's all right as waxing lyrical about a £50 million investment to make Carrington state-of-the-art. And it's all right talking about Sir David Brailsford's attention to detail and the percentage gains and all that. But part of that is going to be the players that we buy. And with this committee, if a player flops next season, I'm sorry, don't care who the journalist is, you can't say that's another flop on Ten Hag, because we know we don't work like that anymore. We're going to work with a committee of Barada and Wilcox and Blanc and Sir David Brailsford and eventually Ashworth and Ten Hag. We are going to collectively have best-in-class people looking at transfers. So if we have a flop in the future, it reflects badly on everybody. So, we're going to have to look at this in a very, very analytical way and make sure that we're making the right decisions. Would you sign Toney? Should have been a poll that I thought I'd put up and I hadn't. Let me just put it up there. Would you sign Toney? And I'll answer that question. You'll answer it independently. Would you sign Toney? Let me know. Personally, I am not knowing. Look, if Ivan Toney for 60 million means we can't sign a winger, I don't want him. I almost think it's pointless buying a striker again to not have any service. So I would say that a striker for 60, 65 million pounds is a no for me, because I know that there's 3 other strikers that are half that price, which I think can come in and do well for us, whether that's Xerxes, Bayer. There are others out there that are available for 30, 35 million quid, which is going to be half the price. But we also have to say, a bit like we were talking about João Neves this morning, if Man United assess all options and Ivan Toney is the option that everybody wants, then you have to go and get that deal done. Of course you do, because that's what we're meant. That's the game we're meant to be playing now. Paul Church, welcome to the members club. Keel Robinson says it's a hard no from me. We don't need the drama. Carl Walsh says Toney's 28 and he does come with baggage. Feels like a backward step. Manjula says United need to target a few role players that are Premier League proven but don't break the bank, instead of just focus on future 11s. We need 3 we need 3 Parks, Fletchers and O'Shea's. A Bowen or McGinn would go a long way. Interesting. New owners coming in the next 24 hours will save this deal going through, says Rico, in relation to Everton. Well, look, I love football. We're going to do That's Football in a few minutes' time for the start of the Euros. I'm very excited about it. Scooby-Doo. But, yeah, I mean, I don't know what this ownership change for Everton actually means. New owners doesn't prevent financial fair play, as we know with Ineos. They can't just pump money in. But look, look, going back to the Branthwaite thing, we're in a very different world at the moment. I like this player. I know some of you don't rate Branthwaite. I like Branthwaite. I think he'd be a very good signing. But if the deal doesn't happen, it's not the end of the world. It really isn't. We don't need to be, walking in with the lube and with our pants down. We don't need to do that. And you don't always get what you want, do you? So I'm very relaxed about the Branthwaite deal. If Everton get new owners and say, we ain't selling our best players, well, crack on then. See you later. Bye. Not interested. You're not. If you want to flex your muscles about Jarrad Branthwaite, go flexing. It's fine. He'll be leaving in the next year or 2 anyway. Everyone have just bought in the last hour, could scupper the deal. Everton have just been bought in the last hour and it could scupper the deal, says Cornblack. Look, I really don't. Are you bothered? Are you bothered if that deal falls through? I mean, I am bothered to an extent, in the sense that I think he's a good player, but I'm not bothered to the extent of, oh my God, it's like there's plenty out there. He's decent, but for me as a centre-back, he seems to go around to ground a lot. Good in the air, to be fair. The middle 45 to +5 feels right, says SK. Look, we will see what happens with it. It matters not to me either way. I'd like us to get the deal, because it's clearly a player that United and Ten Hag agree on, and that's absolutely fine. But look, there's something just come out in the last few minutes from TalkSport saying that Everton's stance is that Jarrad Branthwaite is worth as much as Harry Maguire. Well, Everton's stance is thick. Really thick. And you walk away. Respect. If Everton think that Jarrad Branthwaite's worth £80 million, respect. We'll leave you with it. Because he ain't going to stay with you for long. He ain't going to win anything with you anytime soon, because Everton need a lot of work. He's going to leave at some point. And if you get £80 million from another club, fair play. Well done, because we ain't paying it. It's as simple as that. I'm not interested. And I don't think many other people are interested. We are not interested in being held to ransom anymore. And therefore, we're not playing these stupid games. If you want to value him at 80 million or 70 million pounds, you're having a bloody laugh. I mean, what is this bullshit of Ivan Toney's got 1 year left on his contract and he's about 60 million quid. Kuna from Wolves is about 45 million quid. But Branthwaite, 70 to 80 million pounds. Jog on. What are you talking about? I don't know why these centre-back prices went so big in the first place. I blame bloody us and Liverpool for Van Dijk and Chelsea. Like, Fofana went for £80 million. You can jog on. With your 70 to 80 million pounds. You're having a bloody laugh. You nearly got relegated. Now, I know the points deduction was a big reason to that, but come on. You're having a bloody laugh. How much are you valuing an Onana at? You don't even bloody pick him and they want 60 million for him. Jog on. Like, seriously, it's just not... It doesn't matter. Just walk away. We don't need to waste our time. Yes, he'd be a very good signing. Yes, he would be a good signing. But there's a lot of people in this chat and there's a lot of people out there that are worried about signing him full stop, whether it's 30 million or 80 million. There's some people that are worried about signing him as a player. So, I'm sorry, Everton. He ain't bloody Sergio Ramos. He's a potentially good centre-back. You don't pay... And he didn't even go to the bloody Euros. Lewis Dunk's gone to the Euros instead of him. So, where are you pulling out 70, 80 million pounds? He didn't even go to the Euros and Harry Maguire's injured. How can you say that his price should be the same as Harry Maguire when he didn't even go to the Euros when Harry Maguire was injured? So, no. We're not paying that price. British tax again, says Matty. Well, you know what you can do with your British tax. You can shove it up your arse. Although I do pay my tax. We had to wait 2.5 months for Iniesta to be passed by the Premier League. Surely Everton change isn't going to get done any quicker, says Glenn. Yeah, good point. Very, very good point. Pete Phillips says, I feel like we've got deals in principle to sell some players, hence why our budget seems to have increased. We've got to be more prudent on buying. United need quality players that are coachable. And that's why I do like Jarrad Branthwaite. I think he's a really quality player. But look, a lot of what we're reacting to is... Everton. I understand Everton. I know it's not the Everton stand, it's the United stand. In fact, Everton can do one. I'm banned by Everton. I forgot about that. Jog on. I'm staying out of this. I don't want to be a reason why Everton start to try and pull our pants down. But I've always had a good word to say about Everton, but they bloody banned me from playing in a charity game, so they can jog on with their price tag. We're not paying that amount of money. We're not about that. Can we put an end to this Premier League proven myth, says Shahin. Martinez, Varane, Casemiro, Haaland, Rodri and many others weren't Premier League proven. No, look, I don't value Premier League proven, Shahin, as the be-all and end-all. I think it could be a nice thing. I think if you buy Ivan Toney, you know he's scored goals in the Premier League. I think if you buy Michael Olise, you know he's scored and created goals in the Premier League. And I think if you buy Jarrad Branthwaite, you know he's adapted to the Premier League. That there is an advantage to Premier League proven, but it's not the be-all and end-all. I mean, personally, would I be looking at, and I'm trying to think of a midfielder from the Premier League that would make me go, ooh, would I want Wharton or would I want João Neves? Well, Wharton's going to be a very good player and you might go for that, but I'd go for him because he's young and talented, not because he's Premier League proven. And I'd go for João Neves over him based on what I've seen of both players so far. So Premier League proven's not the be-all and end-all, exactly. Ivan says, do you think the last few windows with us getting players out of the Premier League, we should try and bring in some Premier League proven players, says Ivan. Well, there's always, it's not even a British tax as well. There is a Premier League tax. You can get a lot more money. You can get a lot more for your money outside of the Premier League. That's always been the case because the Premier League transfer market is what drives the silly prices, and it always has. Whereas on the continent, all right, some clubs can shout about their release clauses, of course, but I think that there's some fantastic deals to be done out there, especially in the French league. When you look at the likes of Todibo, obviously I don't know whether we should go for that Fofana from Monaco. There's another lad we're linked to at the moment. I forget his bloody name. It's gone for me completely. Let me just sort this membership thing out. I'm just going to gift some memberships now. Otherwise, I'll forget. That's been done. Well done. Well done. Yeah, look, there's a lot of... and look, I want to see us in the South American market. I want to see us bringing in these players like Brighton bring in and well-scouted players. I think this summer might be a little bit too soon for us to do that, if I'm being honest. But I do want to see it. I really want to see it because I think that's how they're exciting. They're exciting deals to do. McTominay starts for Scotland, of course. Yeah, we're on a watch along with that in a few minutes' time. Alphonso Davies, yeah, we won't be signing him. What about Kimmich, Mark? I've heard that Kimmich might be going to Saudi Arabia. I mean, bloody hell. I mean, De Bruyne was on about it the other day, wasn't he? About the money thing. But how quickly do I think these deals are going to start coming through? Again, I'm not actually that concerned about how long these deals are going to take. 55% of you don't want Toney. 45% of you do. So it's pretty 50-50, which I think is about right. And we can't do the due diligence. We can't do the checks on personality, mentality. And I think that's the thing for me that stands out. And also the price. I think you can get young, Xerxes, 5 years younger than Ivan Toney, could be better at half the price. These are things you need to think about. So look, this is the thing that I have confidence in, that we will look at those sort of areas. But we are in a position that I quite like at the moment. We are in a position whereby we can be relatively confident about a summer transfer window where, because we've had so many like this, we as a fan base have matured. And I've been there. I've played the game. I've seen it. I've been there. Like, I've been slating the Glazers. I've been slating Ed Woodward, Richard Arnold. I've said, you don't let this slip. I remember saying it about Sancho. If we don't get Sancho, it's bloody embarrassing. And you look back on it and you go, well, that first summer, Dortmund wouldn't move and we didn't get him. And then the last summer, we went and paid what they wanted anyway. But realistically, I think we'd all walk away from that. We all wish we'd walked away from that Sancho deal now, but I didn't at the time. And I can't be a hypocrite. I wanted us to get that deal done. And I took the piss out of us when we didn't do it. But I think we've all matured and grown up, and we've been bent over backwards so many times by clubs that we're bigger than. I'm sorry, we're bigger than Crystal Palace. They took 50 million off us for Aaron Wan-Bissaka. We're bigger than Leicester. They took 80 million pounds off us for Harry Maguire. We're bigger than Dortmund. They took 75 million pounds off us for Jadon Sancho. We're bigger than Ajax. They took 80 million euros off us for Anthony. Like, we have got a very, very strong back catalogue of being absolutely rinsed. And one of the big things you can do as the new ownership around this is say that's not going to happen anymore. And it's a double win. One, you look really good in front of your fan base, and two, you save money. It's an open goal, isn't it? If we get tough on transfers, our fans will respect us, and we'll also save money. It's amazing. I mean, you're literally in a position where you can basically say to look, you're sat in the negotiation room for a player like Ivan Toney or Jarrad Branthwaite, and Brentford say, we want 70 million. You know you can walk away and buy Xerxes for 35 and you'll be applauded for it. And you've just saved 35 million. You know if Everton won't budge on 70 million pounds for Jarrad Branthwaite, you can walk away, buy Todibo for 35, save yourself 35 million and be applauded for it. And that's the position we're in now. And I think we're comfortable with that as a fan base. And that makes us dangerous. It does. I don't think there is a pressure on Ineos to get players at any price anymore. I think actually they will be respected more for, having a contingency plan when things become stupid. And I think that's why we're hanging around the João Neves deal a little bit, because we're sort of looking at it and going, we want this player. Is there anything here we can do with Benfica that works for us and works for them? And if Benfica just say, we want the release clause and we want it up front, then we walk, because we can't do it. And I think we'd all sit there and go, well, João Neves was a very difficult deal to do because of the 100 million release clause anyway. Of course, many of us would like to sign João Neves, but we'd just go, we're right to move away and go for somebody else because that price is prohibitive. So speak to me in a few weeks about this, but right here, right now, I'm quite relaxed about what we're doing. We're talking about good players, but if we can't get them because their clubs want to be greedy, then we can't get them. And also, let's not forget that these deals just don't happen tomorrow. They don't just happen in 2 days' time. They might take 3 or 4 weeks. We might wait till July to do it with the new kits. In fact, I'll say it right now. I don't think any player is signing for Man United before the new kit comes out, which is July. I just don't think they will, because if you sign Branthwaite next week and he holds up the old shirt, you're not going to sell as many as if he holds the new shirt up, and that's business, people. Simple as. Colin says, United are the problem with overpriced transfers, as we've been willing to pay. We've contributed to inflated price tags, says Colin. Marcus says, congratulations on 1.5 million subs. I first subscribed. Looking forward to the next 6 years. Thank you, Marcus. You're a legend. Levi says, on the Toney signing, can you think of any other experienced striker who is available and fairly priced? Maybe we want the experience option. And that's a great point, Levi. I mean, I like the idea of Bayer at Hoffenheim, or Jonathan David, or Xerxes, or Sesko. Obviously, Sesko can't happen, or Evan Ferguson. I'm quite comfortable with that option, but you're right, they're all inexperienced, and so is Rasmus. If United are looking for experience, and they were looking at Harry Kane last year, then that obviously brings in someone like Ivan Toney. I'll tell you what, I'm just watching the German introduction to this tournament, and I was thinking, I've seen this before. The World Cup was in Germany, wasn't it, in 2006? And I quite liked that coverage of that. So I'm ready to go with the Euros, everybody. I'm ready to go. I've already finished that one. I've got another one ready to go. I'm looking forward to it. Really am. Hi, Mark. Can you give us fans a 30 seconds promo where you give like a Braveheart speech for the up-and-coming Euro 2024? I will be on there in a few minutes, Howder. Yes, I will. Swap deal, Everton, Branthwaite for Maguire's adventures with Raj. Well, I've mentioned this already. I genuinely do think that that people might be missing the point here. Yes, Everton won 80 million. Yes, United have offered 35 million officially, according to David Ornstein. Yes, we could meet in the middle around 50, and I hope we do. But we've got a good relationship with Everton. James Garner's gone there. We took Wayne Rooney years ago. We actually have got a good relationship with Everton. So we've got players that I think would be good signings for Everton. We may have players that would be good loan deals for Everton. Everton aren't where they should be. I actually do like Everton, and I think that they should be a club that's looking at Aston Villa, looking at Brighton, and thinking we should be there. They're nowhere near where they should be, but because of that, that's quite advantageous. As I said, Ahmad might leave Man United. He'd be a good signing for Everton. Harry Maguire might leave Man United. He'd be good signing for Everton. Wan-Bissaka would be a good signing for Everton as well. Scott McTominay would be a good signing for Everton. We've got 4 or 5 players that potentially could leave the club this summer that would be good signings for Everton. Like, no, not taking the piss. Like, Maguire would be a good Everton player. McTominay would be a good Everton player. Wan-Bissaka would be a good Everton player. That's 3 players that we might sell this summer. Lindelof as well. They're good Everton players. So I would be saying to Everton, look, I know you want this big, silly price. We're not going to pay it. Let's not fall out over it. We are willing to give you 45 million now with add-ons, but also Wan-Bissaka, Harry Maguire. We'll give you a reasonable price. If you want to give us 25 million for Harry Maguire, we're not going to price you out of the market. So I think there's opportunities there. Mojo, you're a legend. Thank you very much. He's just gifted 10 memberships. Absolute legend. I could go on and on and on, but I need to be on That's Football for 7:30 for the start of the Euros. So get over there. We're ready to go. We're rocking the Euros, but we are not going to neglect the United stand. We've got you covered here. So make sure you subscribe. Bottom right-hand corner. Absolute legends tonight. I want to see most of you on That's Football, unless you're going down the pub, in which case I understand it, but you can still use your phone. I'll see you over there in 2 minutes. Take care.